As per the request of my sister, let's talk about scientific names and how things get them. Now, kind of the man who is responsible for popularizing the binomial name system, so genus species, is this man, Carl Linnaeus. The Linnaean system of taxonomy is largely based off of Latin, going by Latin words for common animals, and it just kind of grew from there. So he started categorizing everything into genus species, and that's the system that we stuck with. However, he just kind of named things whatever he wanted. And everyone was like, you know what, go for it, man, as I don't want to do this, you go for it, you can name it whatever. Now this is largely a very good thing in order to kind of avoid confusion based on locality. Everyone uses the same scientific names. For example, this guy up here has a bunch of different names. It can be a cougar, a puma, a mountain lion, even a catamount, depending on where you're from and what language you speak. However, the scientific name, Puma concolor, is universal across every language, so when you say that, everybody is talking about the same animal, at least in a scientific setting. Now, many scientific names are kind of simple and no-brainers and easy to understand because they are kind of intuitive, like the American black bear. The American black bear's scientific name is Ursus americanus. Ursus is Latin for bear. Americanus is North America, the North American black bear. Easy. Done. It is a bear that lives in North America. Wonderful. Now, another very easy one to remember is the Western gorilla, whose scientific name is Gorilla gorilla. Now, scientific names can change, however. Prior, the Eastern and Western gorilla were considered to be the same species under the scientific name Gorilla gorilla gorilla. However, more recently they have actually been split into two species, the Western gorilla, Gorilla gorilla, and the Eastern gorilla, called the Gorilla Beringi, which is slightly less easy to remember, but again, another example of a more intuitive scientific name is Homo erectus, which is an early human ancestor. Homo meaning man, erectus meaning upright. Homo erectus is the upright man, named for the fact that it is one of the very first human ancestors to be bipedal. Another one that I'm sure everybody knows is Homo sapiens, which is us, named wise man. Homo man, sapiens wise. Why? Because we're fucking full of ourselves. Another example is Felis domesticus, house cats or domestic cats. Felis comes from the Latin word for cat, and then domesticus, domestic cats. Same thing for Canis familiaris, domestic dogs. Canis meaning dogs, familiaris meaning kind of familiar family. Latin's weird, but again, kind of intuitive. It can get a little bit more complicated. For example, this mushroom up here is the Rassula emetica, with the common name the sickener. Rassula emetica is a type of poisonous mushroom named for the fact that it makes you very sick. That's where the common name, the sickener, and the scientific name comes from, because emetica or emetic means vomit. So it is the vomiting Rassula, a type of Rassula that makes you very sick. Now, it can also get more specific, named more after the locale, much in the same way as Ursus americanus. This is the Sable Island sweat bee. Its name is the Lasioglossum sabelense, named after the fact that it is endemic to Sable Island in Canada. Lasioglossum is the genus name for the larger group of sweat bees that this one belongs to, and sabelense is named after the fact that it is only found on Sable Island. Now, things can also be named after people, such as the people who discovered them, such as the case with Steller's jay. Both the common name Steller's jay and the scientific name Cyanopsida stelleri is due to the fact that they were officially discovered by George Steller. who also has many, many other things named after him, because officially he was the first person to describe these, disregarding the fact that indigenous people to North America knew about them for a long-ass time, but scientifically, George Steller was the first person to discover the Steller's jay, among many other things. However, they can also be named after people who did not discover them. For example, this millipede. It is called Nannaria swifti, which is named after Taylor Swift. Congrats, you got a bug named after you. And it's not uncommon for people to name things after celebrities. Beyonce has a couple things, Arnold Schwarzenegger has a couple things named after him, David Attenborough has a bunch of things named after him, which I'm on board with because David Attenborough fucking rocks. But yeah, there is a type of millipede named after Taylor Swift. But animals can also be named after pop culture. For example, this fish is called the Brachiostagus sane, named after San from the movie Princess Mononoke. That's because they have those very distinct eye stripes, which very closely match the eye stripes from San from the movie. The scientists were like, hey, this fish looks like this movie character, let's name it after her. Now, it's no surprise that nerds be nerding. If you are a science nerd, you're almost definitely a nerd about something else, evident by the fact that there is a whole bunch of mites in the genus Darth Vaderum. There's an entire genus of mites named after Darth Vader from Star Wars. There's also a dinosaur called Dracorex hogwartsi, named after the Harry Potter series. And the list of pop culture scientific names goes on and on and on. We also have the case of our friend, the Irritator, from the last video I made, the Irritator Challengeri, with the name Challengeri coming from a character in Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes series, and Irritator coming from the fact that the scientists studying this dinosaur were so pissed off about the shitty condition that the skull specimen came in that they named it after the fact that they were just irritated to hell and back studying this dinosaur. Like, this dinosaur pissed me off, so I'm going to forever name it the Irritator, which, ouch. So basically, as long as it fits the rules for the binomial naming system and it doesn't already have something with the same name, you can kind of name it whatever. You can be like, from as simple as this bird is blue, so its scientific name is going to be Blue Bird, or like, hey, I'm going to name this millipede after a celebrity because I want to. As long as it fits the rules, everything is pretty much on the table and you can tell. Now, despite this video being almost 10 minutes long already, this is a brief overview of taxonomy and naming. We can go into so much more detail, but this is just kind of vaguely how it works.